move the community forward and to expand the TIF district. I have a vision for Peoria Heights. I have some ideas for doing that. The second priority is financial. Taking a look at the village's budget, there's been some use of fund balance to balance the budget, and you can't do that for very long. The village is down to about 90 days of cash, and best practices would dictate that public bodies have 6 months of cash on hand. So we have to address that, or we're going to put ourselves in a very bad position in the future. About 65% of the costs are in people in the village, and the rest is in commodities and contractuals. And of course, you can only squeeze the commodities and contractuals so much. You really have to start increasing the revenue. The last piece would be a housing piece. I've worked with the Home in the Heights project that I helped create with the Peoria County EDC in the village of Peoria Heights, which incentivizes home rehabs within Peoria Heights.
Okay,
and so that would, I have a plan to put in place to get people to move back here and live here.
All right, thank you very much. We're going to go ahead and start back with Cheryl. Our next question coming forth is transparency in government is important. How would you support this in your role as trustee?
Well, I would continue to do what I'm doing. A trustee is one person. We have 6. One person can't determine what to do. One mayor can't determine on what to do. It takes 6 of us to come together and make the village a whole. And I would continue to foresee that happening. I mean, I would continue to work on that and to make sure that we are a whole.
Okay, thank you. Jeff?
Sure.
Could you repeat that, please?
I would be happy to. Transparency in government is very important. How would you support this in your role as trustee?
Well, pretty much the way I was the first 8 years I served down here. We're an open book. Everything's filmed. My number is readily available for anybody to call to me and ask me, bring forth any problems they have. And I mean, I'm right there for everybody. So I think just give me a call, and I mean, I'll talk to anybody, and I'm not hiding anything. Transparency, we're pretty much an open book up here.
Okay. All right, very good. Michael, would you like to address this?
I would. Thank you for the opportunity. I am a big believer in a transparent, open government. Never should any economic development deals or things be done behind closed doors that should be done in the public's sight. Being on the Peoria County Board has given me a lot of experience with working with Judge Lyons, who was the former Peoria County State's Attorney, and the current Peoria County State's Attorney, Jerry Brady. We have an expectation at Peoria County that those things should be done at meetings. I will not be using any private emails to conduct business. It'll be done on a village email. Everything that I do will be done in the open. Of course, there is a need occasionally to go behind closed doors for personnel matters, to purchase property, or for litigation, but everything else should be done in the open.
Okay, thank you very much. Question number 3. And Michael, I'm going to start with you on this one because we're getting back into order here. Considering the village budget, what current expenses could be cut or revenues enhanced? And please be specific.
Well, first of all, my 18 years on the Peoria County Board will reflect that I am not a tax and spend person. I'm a very conservative person. I believe that the old saying, a rising tide lifts all boats. You increase revenue by letting the economy flourish, and you don't do it necessarily by increasing taxes. That eventually will have a negative impact. Businesses then start to look elsewhere and go other places to do business. So I would just continue on with the good things that are happening here in the village, providing good services. We have a very safe community. We have a good public works department that provide excellent services. That's important to business. So on the revenue side, I would be looking to bring in more business. That will help us alleviate some of the problems. On the expense side of the equation, we just have to look for areas of savings in the short term. And long term, I would ask the board to engage in a strategic planning session where we could talk
Okay,
about
thank you very much.
ways to identify savings.
Okay, thank you. Cheryl, I'm going to go to you next, and that one, would you like me to repeat it?
Yeah, if you would, please.
Considering the village budget, what current expenses could be cut or revenues enhanced? And please be specific.
Well, I guess not to mimic Mike Phelan, but I guess to continue on with bringing the economics here in the Peoria Heights. We do want the sales tax, that's what we live off. Property taxes aren't really, I mean, it's very, the property taxes, we don't make a whole lot on the property taxes to make this village the way it is. I know a lot of people don't understand that. So where we get our revenue is from our sales tax, from our restaurants, from our boutiques and that area. I would like to really see and enhance that, because that's where we're going to get our revenue from, and that's how we're going to grow.
Okay. Jeff?
Well, my experience from my first two terms are for cutting. We have department heads that are outstanding. Chief Sutton, Mr. Smith here. I don't know how they operate their departments the way they do, on the way they cut things and are careful about. They don't just spend money just to be spending it. They're very careful about what they do, and they're very hands-on. And we've got the TIF projects going. I mean, that first TIF didn't work out so well, but the rest of them are coming along pretty well. And I think having these little festivals help bring attention into the Heights, bring people into the Heights, and see what a nice place this is, and how they could really help to bring their business here and help them out. And parking.
Okay, thank you.
I saw you coming.
Thank you very much. Can you all see the paddles?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, especially that big
All
red
right.
one.
Well, you have time, you have time. Cheryl, we're going to start question number 4 with you. Discuss the infrastructure issues for Peoria Heights, and what are your priorities?
Well, we just got done with the big project down on Roosevelt that we just, I do believe, just finished up. Our next projects are getting the towers cleaned up, and we just had them tested, so they're getting all revamped. So to continue to do that, curbs and sidewalks, parking, the street blacktopping, the list goes on. I mean, all the villages and the cities, I'm sure their list is as big as ours, probably bigger, but to continue on that route and to just keep improving those kind of.
Okay. Jeff, follow up to you as well?
I feel like a mima bird.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's fine.
The streets and curbs, I've been saying that all night, and the parking. I was glad to hear her say, because I've heard complaints about that green space down there in front of Trucksters, and I'm like, no, I'm pretty sure they're going to put parking there. That's just, they had to clear it out, and it takes money to put in a parking lot, parking spots, and we need to keep working on our roads. We got real good roads. Actually, you can tell when you leave Peoria Heights and you get into Peoria, because the ride's a little bit more rough, especially during the wintertime when it's snow clearing. So.
Okay, thank you. Michael?
Well, I feel very strongly that infrastructure is a quality of life issue, but it's also an economic development tool. So when people and businesses look to locate to a community, they take into account how your roads are, how your water is, et cetera. And we're very lucky to own our own water department. They do a fine job, but there's some upgrades needed with the mains and the towers themselves. So keeping that upgraded is important, as well as roads and curbs and gutters and sidewalks. One piece I would add that I think is very important that we need to consider is a trailhead for the village. And you might ask why that is such a big infrastructure item, but I think it will help drive economic development in the area and in the business district. So that's one new item I would consider.
Okay, all right, thank you. Our last question, so I'm going to let the audience know if you have anything else, you need to pass it on to Connie or Sherry. And Jeff, I'll start with you. Where do you stand on non-owner occupied housing, or i.e. rental properties?
Well, I'm a renter, so I don't have a problem. My problem is if you get too many of them. Of course, landlords like me because when I come into the place and I leave, it's better than when I walked in. And I've been at my place for 15 years. I am looking to buy here eventually, but somebody's got to buy the property. If it's not going to be, I mean, I would prefer it be owned by the people who are going to live there, but I don't want houses sitting vacant and going bad. I have a couple of houses around my area that nobody owns or they can't find them, and it's dilapidated. You got a hole in it, in the roof. You got raccoons running in and out of it. We got to have somebody own it. I mean, I prefer that the person who owns it lives there because they take a lot more pride taking care of their stuff if they live there.
Okay, thank you. Cheryl?
This has been an ongoing, actually, issue in the, I don't know about Peoria Heights, but probably all around about the rental property. But I know City of Peoria has something to do with the rentals that they come in, and we tried to get that going. Obviously, it failed. But not just the rental properties. I mean, we have people that actually own houses that are just as bad. So I wouldn't just stick to just rental property that needs upkeep. It's all houses that need to stay upkeep. And we have, code enforcements now that this past summer that has cleaned up a lot of housing. And it's not just rental, it's if you own it too, it's the property owners. So I would, my goal would be to keep that going and keep the code enforcements going on all properties, not just rental properties.
Okay, all right, thank you very much. Michael?
See, I beat you.
Yeah, 2 seconds. Michael?
Well, Peoria Heights is approximately 40% rentals. A lot of people might be shocked by that number. It's indicative of a larger problem that the community needs to address and face. I know I've spent a lot of time talking with school administration and school board members. This is a problem that we both have to address and tackle. When you have a high number of rentals, you usually have a high mobility rate, and I think those school board members would tell you in the school they see a lot of kids coming and going. Rentals, of course, aren't bad. It's those properties that can become problem properties. I'm not opposed, I'm not advocating for it, but I'm not opposed to the village board entering into a discussion on creating some sort of rental registration that, like the city of Peoria has, where we'd have those homes registered and inspected annually. Again, I'm not saying that we do that, but I think we need to talk about it. But those are problems, those are bigger problems that we as a community, the township, the village, and the schools all need to be collectively working on.
Thank you. Thank you very much. That is our last question, unless I see something else. We are going to have a 2-minute closing statement from each candidate, and I will start back with Cheryl for the closing.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Again, my name is Cheryl Carter. I'm running for village trustee. I would appreciate your votes on April 4th. I just learned that I'm #1 on the ballot, so you can't miss me. And if you vote for me, I will continue to do what I've been doing for the last 9 years, and that's moving the village of Peoria Heights forward.
Thank you very much. Jeff?
There is one thing I did want to touch. There are a couple spots here in the Heights that are kind of an eyesore. Down there around Marietta, down at the end of it, that we need to take care of. But there's a few other places, businesses that need to clean up their act. But I would like to go after them. And, but I would like to get back on the board. When I left, things were happening. Things were happening when I started. Mark Allen did a good job. We got people in here to do their job. We got good people here now. I would like to get back here and maybe get things going, jump-start it maybe if I can help. I would appreciate your vote on April 4th. Like I said, I'm third. I mean, I'm not number one. But vote for me, I'm number three, and don't let me drop the 4. I appreciate your vote. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Michael, again, is running for mayor, so I will have you just make a last moment statement as well.
Okay, thank you. Well, earlier you heard me talk about some of the challenges that I believe we face, and we certainly can't ignore those because every day those are ignored takes 2 days to fix. But I'm very optimistic about the village, and that's why I'm excited about running for mayor. I consider there's a huge amount of opportunity for Peoria Heights. You know, in my travels as a county board member, I often hear about how great Dunlap is or how great Germantown Hills or Morton, and those are fine communities. But when you consider all the assets that Peoria Heights has, from Tower Park to Forest Park Nature Center to Grandview Drive to our own fire and police department, our own school district, and I could really go on and on. I'll run out of time if I do, but all of those assets can't be replicated anywhere else. You can't build what Bill Rutherford left us here in Tower Park. You can't replicate a Grandview Drive. So we have a whole lot of opportunity, but what we're not doing is leveraging our assets. We don't have a bona fide plan to move forward. I've got thoughts on how we can do that. Of course, we enhance our business district, and I also would like to see the village and the schools and the government bodies and of course the business community consider us positioning ourselves as a weekend tourism destination spot. I think we have all the assets to attract people here for a weekend visit. We're going to need to get a hotel built, but once we do that with the trail, all the fine dining, the specialty shops here, the Trefskers Event Center on the weekends, you know, mom and dad can come and stay in that hotel and the kids can get married at Trefskers, and we can have a whole weekend experience for you. That will bring in a whole lot of outside dollars. We'll get tax money off the rooms and the hotels, and I think that's something that we need to talk about collectively as a organization. So lastly, I'd say serving on the Peoria County Board, we are a partisan body, but my work there will show that I work together with people from all walks of life on both sides, both Republicans and Democrats, and I believe I can bring people together to move this village forward.
All right. Thank you very much. Can we have a round of applause for our candidates? I think we understand how important public service is, and we appreciate you taking the time to be part of this. I'd like to thank our timers. Peter and Bill did a fine job here, though they were able to anticipate your every moment. We appreciate that. I'll turn it over to Connie at that point. Thank you.
Thank you. I'd like to thank all the candidates that came tonight, all of the citizens, members of Peoria Heights, as well as the volunteers, both from the Chamber of Commerce here and the League of Women Voters. And I want all of you just, to be part of democracy, get out and vote, know your issues, know your candidates, and that's what we were all about tonight. So thanks all of you very much.
I kept meaning to say